Good morning and welcome back to Morning Rush. We are being entertained this morning. We had a great book review earlier, and now we are sitting with an engineer to fashion designer, Eglet Mtengwa Nyabvure. Welcome to Morning Rush.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Very, very, very lovely to see you this morning. I can see you're very fashionable. You know, you're so into who you are, and you are that engineer and then fashion designer. Which one came first?
It's actually engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah, the engineer.
So tell us about
first.
your journey.
So I studied telecommunication engineering back then, and I was working for the telecommunications company. Actually, when I was still here in Zimbabwe, I was working for Philips in Masasa, doing the telephone systems. So when I moved to the Netherlands, you know, as a telecommunication engineer, my identity was still very strong because you're a woman in a man's world. Yeah. So you always wanted to show you that you're there.
You can do it.
Exactly, that you're there. So when I moved to the Netherlands 14 years ago. My being an African, a woman, a Zimbabwean, I wanted to show it also in the corporate world when I was working. So I started to design my clothes because I wanted something, a statement that speaks me.
That was different, and that would bring out your roots.
Who I am, exactly. Wow. So then with doing that, then you realize people like, this is nice, this is nice. Then I go, okay, maybe I'm actually doing something nice, you know? So that's, how I moved to starting my brand, Feka.
That's Feka, yeah. So that's my next question. Feka is, obviously you've told us a little bit about the history of that. How has that been for you, just being in that fashion? I mean, for you to leave engineering to get into that, how's that been for you?
The transition was actually interesting because engineering is it's a creative industry. You have to be very, very smart and very, very, focused on what you're doing. So I used inspiration from the engineering to go in. I didn't study fashion, so of course I had to do a lot of research and understand of some certain things. But it was easy because my mentor also told me, if you want to start something, you don't have to be the one doing it.
Right.
You know, you can have a group of people who will be helping you to actually reach what you want. So you just tell them, okay, I can I'll design myself, I'll get a tailor, I'll get someone to put things together. So it's been quite nice because you have to learn to trust people, work with people to something that you want.
And in trusting people, and obviously the years that you've been doing it, have you learned how to make some garments yourself?
Yeah,
it's not as nice.
It's not as nice, but I've learned, if it needs to be done, I have to do it. You have to go into it because sometimes you have to understand what you're doing,
So, in the past, we've heard of criticisms of designers that they just go and buy T-shirts in bulk and then just do their logo and put it on there. Is that what you have come across, or what can we expect from your brand?
From my brand, it's more storytelling. Right. So I have to start from the very beginning. So of course you get a white fabric, and then you put. For me, it's also putting the print. Like you've also seen, this is the Mashingo print. Inspired by the Great Zimbabwe.
Oh, you made this yourself?
Yeah, we made this ourselves. So actually started with the fabric itself. You create the fabric there so you can tell the story. So we do the designing of the fabric, the patterns, because I said the African prints, or the Zimbabwean prints in this case, and then you put on the fabric, and then you actually make the garment. You actually make the clothes. Wow. So then you tell that story. So it's not. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you have to do that, a story to just printing something, it's okay if you can tell something about your logo. Yeah. But for us, it's like starting from the beginning all the way to the end.
I love how you've captured that. Like even looking at your dress, I saw you walking in. I'm like, this is a really nice dress.
Thank you.
But now with the story, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got goosebumps. Yeah. Kind of seeing that, you really take time into your product. Yeah. And speaking on that, how has it been received in the local market? Because I know that you are based in the Netherlands. So, and they obviously received that quite well over there. How has it been received here locally, knowing that your clothing is telling lots of stories?
I think now, the visit that I'm having now is the first one that I'm actually meeting up with people. I think most guys, or everyone, not everyone, that would be too much. Most people think that African prints, the moment you talk about African prints, you're talking about the Mazambia, these kind of things. So now people have seen the quality. They've actually seen, the tennis guys were wearing it as well.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, for
and
the
John
Davis
Cole
Cup.
as well as...
John Cole also wears something. So the moment people see it and receive, they actually appreciate it, So I think it's a question of like, oh, it's actually something nice, So slowly we're getting there, and now we're getting the exposure and the traction towards our brands.
And I like what you've said. Like if somebody just thinks Zimbabwe, the first thing that we get to is Kimfika Mazambe, Maduk, and stuff like that. How, as a woman, and obviously I think you're a huge advocate for our country out there, and even for our nation. Have you ever thought about making a national dress for the country is not Maduku and the Zambias that every other African country wears?
I think when I look at Zimbabwe, it's very diverse. So for me to say like one dress, I think it would be we'll be limiting myself. No, and I don't want that. I would look at it like, how can we tell the Zimbabwean story? Because when I speak to someone from Ghana, they talk about the Kente and how the history it came to be for the kings and all of that. But for me to be like, okay, let's look for, like, for example, I started with the Great Zimbabwe.
Yes.
What is Zimbabwe? It's a house of stones. We've got the stones, we've got the mashingo, It's just a simple story, so we do that. And then as a nation, we adopt, the fabric.
The fabric.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to dress like this. You can do whatever you want, you know. But you've got this statement on yourself, or in the wardrobe that you can talk about Zimbabwe. And that's how we can actually become, it's different from like, okay, you have to wear like this, but it's something you can take, because you're fashionable yourself. You want to have something. We don't want to take that fashionable and give away from yourself. So we want to add, it has to be add value. So if it's going to be a jacket, then a jacket with a little bit touch of the mashingo print or whatever, Matopos or Victoria Falls
that's
print
what I was just about to say. I can't wait to see what Kariba dress would be like.
I know. That's actually a nice challenge,
You see, there you go. I'll advertise the dress for you.
Actually, we're working on the Madora. Maklimbi, the texture, the texture, the color it is. When we're talking about delicacy in Zimbabwe, outside of Zimbabwe, say, there's this worm that's really delicious. Of course, I don't like it that much. But
I don't like it too. I was about to say, like, I don't know.
But you have to kind of like sound sophisticated, because when they talk about their snails,
they love
the French, So then I'm also like talking about that. Then you look at it, it's like, you see this print is inspired by this delicacy in Zimbabwe. So it's those stories that we just bring out to say something nice about Zimbabwe, or something unique that you find in other places.
So I was looking on the social media. They always laugh at me for saying the social media on social media. I was looking on that, and I saw a picture of you in Hertfordshire in London at the Zimfest. Now, how did you get that, or to get to advertise your stuff over there? What's your networking like worldwide?
I think it's mostly Zimbabweans who love Zimbabwe, or who are missing home, or if it's non-Zimbabwe, and then they love the Zimbabwean story or the African story that we bring as Feka. So when we came to Zimfest, we actually just saw it, being advertised. You understand? I was like, of course, So when you got there, it was really different, and everyone was like, this is nice. It's different, and it's something that we proud that people are getting, capturing it and getting it. So it's like we just put ourselves out there. And then we tell the story, where we're coming from and where we want to go.
And where do you want to go?
I want to be that African brand that will be, it's a go-to place for African stories. So it becomes not only a brand, but history. We have all the collection of having a history of different African countries, of Zimbabwe especially also, it becomes a document. So when they say like, oh, you want to find more about Zimbabwe, go to Feka, you find the details, the different details in a cool way.
Okay. And obviously with support from your family, you have children, or I don't know. How is that support system for you?
It's been very good, especially for my husband. He's now with the kids in the Netherlands.
You had to stay with them, so while you do your work.
So and the kids also, they really understand, especially they do, because living in the Netherlands, it's nice.
It's nice.
But there's always like a
remember
touch,
your
roots,
heritage,
remember this. So for my kids, they've like embraced it. And they actually like say it in a way like, oh, Feka, my mom is doing this. And it's about Zimbabwe.
So obviously your clothes are for catering for kids, for oldies, and for youngies like me.
Exactly, for like youngies like me too.
Yes, exactly. That's absolutely fantastic, Eglet. You've really inspired me with your clothing, and
Thank you.
I don't know, maybe you'd give us your sweaters so we can advertise them on Friday for you.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
That would be lovely. Eglet, thank you so much for joining us. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Eglet. She's the CEO of Feka, and we will really love to have a piece of this everywhere for you.
Thank you very much.